Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to your place for all the top Skip Barber action on a Monday night here at Top Split TV. We are here for round 4 of this season, 14 of Monday Night Lights, and I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me tonight in commentary once again is Mr. Tim Gorkrocher. Tim, big race ahead of us here tonight.
G'day, Alex. Thanks for having me again, mate. Appreciate it. And yeah, you're right. And Mid-Ohio Sport Car Course, 3.62k is a good track, technical track, and sure to bring out the excitement tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a bumper field once again here. Second highest strength of field of the week at 3,540. So once again, folks, that means that the drivers out there on track tonight are the second top group for the week based on their skill rating, their iRating, of course. And joining us once again, top of the pops, at least in terms of seeding. Car number 1, Fahim Antoinides. Great to see Fahim back again. Gentlemen on and off the track and looking to put in a good performance, no doubt, Tim.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's enjoying these Monday nights or Monday daytime for him, a bit of a breakthrough work. Nice way to break up the day, I tell you. But yeah, he doesn't mind mingling with the best of the Aussies and the handful of internationals that race with us as well. So I expect he's pretty comfortable here. He does his homework and gets plenty of practice in the odd official too. So yeah, I think Fahim's looking forward to a good showing.
Yeah, sure is. And of course, it's Ian Bevan here again tonight. And those two guys will be going head to head. And I'm sure looking forward to a good battle. Of course, things that brings the likes of Fahim and Ian here out tonight are the big points on offer, both for iRating purposes, the official season and Monday Night Lights, but also the good racing. Because when you get these sort of folks together on track, usually ends up with a great night out for all involved. Håkan Grebstad, of course, he's car number 5 here tonight. He's currently leading our Monday Night Lights championship. And actually, while we've got him on screen, let's have a look here. After 3 rounds, Håkan Grebstad on top with Fahim Antoinides, as we mentioned before, backing up again tonight in P2. Sean Carron. I apologise to Sean, not only because I'm probably pronouncing his name incorrectly, but I misspoke last week when I said it was his maiden entry into MNL. He has been here previously. In fact, he took out a second split race I think it was even this season. So Sean once again showing that you can do it from the second split, but this is his second week in a row in the top split and looking to put on a good performance. John Scholtz in P4 representing Team Venom. Ben Furhoff, who is an on and off again Monday nights regular in P5 with plenty to play for, though he hasn't turned up tonight. So shame for Ben and shame for the race potentially, as the guy's still out there for qualifying. And provisionally we have, let's see, we've got Ian Bevan sitting on pole with Håkan Grebstad in P2 and Ben Snell in 3, Tim.
Yeah, I think Bev will be pretty happy with that early in the piece. But I got to say, I think Fahim probably on lap 2, more likely than not, put a wheel off the track. In fact, he did. I can see on the timing screen his first lap was void. So he's on lap 2 of 2 now and be working pretty hard to eclipse that time that Ian set.
Yeah, that's right. Ian setting a 1:36.3, pretty pacey round here in these conditions, and certainly right up there with the best going around. As he stops a bit, he jumped a bit on track there. Was Fahim, who's racing around now, trying to get that top spot if he can. Let me just see if I can bring up the comparison to see how he's going as he comes through the final stages of this lap now through the carousel. Coming around turn 13 to round out his lap now, and he's got a 36.4, so he has not, in fact, been able to grab that spot back from Ian, and he's, in fact, in 3rd position tonight. Quite an unfamiliar position, I would have thought, for him, Tim.
Yeah, it is, and I tell you, mate, there's plenty of activity at the top. Ian Bevan had his time eclipsed by Ben Snell by just a second. By a fraction of a second, and Ian came right back and pipped him by 0.1. So a great result second time round for Ian, and Fahim finding himself in probably, hard to say this, unfamiliar territory starting in, or at this stage, in P3.
Yeah, that's right. He's sitting 0.3 off the pace. Håkon Grebstad, who's really improved in the qualifying stakes this season after struggling last season. He's sitting there in P4 and looking to get amongst it early on. But the whole front few there, all the way down to, where's that? You can't separate the top 12 by more than a second. Simon Dopp making another welcome appearance in the top split in P13. He's 1.3, the first one to duck outside that magic 1 second mark. And Sean Carron, who we mentioned before, yet to set a time. In fact, I think he might be having connection problems because I haven't seen him join the server at all. So that's a shame for him. As he was, as we said, so high up in the rankings already, and yet not able to take the grid by the looks tonight as the guys look to close out their final lap. So they most seem to have done that. If I look at James Mead, he another local boy, he's looking to perhaps, I don't know if he's just getting some track time, but we'll keep an eye on the split and see where he ends up.
I think Michael Fiedler is the only gentleman still on track at the moment. Perhaps James too, as Michael sets a 1:36.5, going to put him into P6. And you're right, James still on track and just coming over the start-finish line now. 1:36.5 first time around, clean lap. No, slower. Sorry, I'm wrong. Faster. 1:36.0, cracking lap. That's pole. What a result. James Mead on fire.
Fantastic result. I'm glad we followed him all the way around. Fantastic result there. So why don't we take a look at our grid as it stands? I think everyone's done with their laps. So let's just pull up and see where we finished up tonight with quite an exciting finish to that qualification run for James Mead, leading the ANZ charge with a 1:36 dead. That's a really impressive time around here. Ian Bevan in P2. Great result for Ian. Just pipped at the post there by less than a tenth with a 1:36, exactly a tenth as it turns out. P3, Ben Snell. City, another one representing ANZ with a 1:36.2, looking to make a good run there for Team Milo. Fame Antonite is relegated to 4th. I tell you what, that should be an unfamiliar position to him. Interesting to see how he copes in the pack in this MNL race. P5, Håkon Grebstad, top 5 result for him in quality. That's pretty good considering how he's going last season. Michael Fiedler in P6, strong driver from overseas and looking to have a good run tonight. P7, Brett McBurney, ANZ. Oh, sorry, Siri's hitting me up. Sorry. Brett McBurney, haven't seen him in MNL before. Interesting to see how he goes from P7. John Scholz for Team Venom in P8. P9, Samuel Collins, another MNL regular. He's followed by Oscar Chinchillamaza from Iberia. He's also becoming an MNL regular. George Matsushinsky, I hope I got that right, George, in P11. Russell Clark, the other Team Milo racer here tonight in P12. P13, Simon Dopp. And rounding out our field, Sean Carron, who I don't think will be taking the grid. I'm not sure if he's in the server, but I guess time will tell, Tim.
Sean has made it in, which is good, but for whatever reason, wasn't able to set a quali lap. But he'll start from P14. Unfortunate, but better than not making the race and not getting any points at all, because that'd be detrimental to the IR. So a good opportunity for him still. But I'll tell you, I'm really interested to see how Fahim's going to go from P4, because it's a busy track, particularly after, turns 4, 5, 6, and through that complex there, China, forget what the bloody thing's called, China Beach, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, really busy. So Fahim, it's risky. We saw last week he got checked up and had a bit of contact, and that was all over for him. Lost a big hole of points and didn't do himself any favours, but we'll see what he can do. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick look here at the race information. Of course, we're at Mid-Ohio. 15 laps here tonight. 53 Ks, which is about the distance we run in a standard skippy race. Partly cloudy. Track temp 42 degrees. Pretty warm out there, so great times as a result. And fascinating to see what this good bunch of drivers can do as the lights are on now. Cars are getting ready to go. Green lights and away. Here we go for round 4 of Monday Night Lights, season 14, as the guys come into the first corner now, led by, who's got the running at the moment? Yeah, James Mead, our pole sitter, taking the running with Ian Bevan tucked in behind. Everyone seeing to get it done pretty well there as we head around for lap 1 of 15 here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, James in control. Bit of activity at the back though. Fahim and Hawkon running pretty close. Fahim right up behind Ben Snell, right up under that rear wing. He's in control though, and Hawkon grabs that P5 close with Michael Fiedler. Then a small break back to Brett McBurney in P7. But a clean start. That's what we expect, and you're not going to win it on the first lap.
No, that's right. Certainly lose it, as they say, but the guys all getting away pretty cleanly as they run down the back straight now into the aforementioned 4-5-6 complex round China Beach there. You can see on driver's left now as they come over this undulating section through the S's here at 6, 7, 8. Challenging section now as they head through the tail end of that. Very difficult series to get right now as they head through Thunder Valley. What a great name of a section that is. See the guys thunder through Thunder Valley, dare I say, as we come towards the end of this first lap, and pretty static, only a couple of positions. Or James Bevan's got the lead from James Mead to Fahim, also up one position as the guys look to take advantage of the early running.
Yeah, Barber put a nice move on James Mead up the inside of turn 4, and he had the running into 5, and that was it as he creeps out a nice little gap. We're talking 4 or 5 tenths at the moment, a nice little finish to the lap, and certainly where he looks to be in control out in front at the moment. And Fahim crept around the outside of Ben Snell through 7 and 8 and had the running through 9 as James Mead runs very wide through turn 1, the left-hander. Tricky left-hander too, very difficult to judge exactly where the apex is, and it can catch the new players off guard and certainly cost you some time. But Fahim chucks it up the inside of James Mead, who's certainly not had the start he'd be looking for, but a good run out of turn 2 as he goes left, pulls up to the outside of Fahim. He's going to have a hard time getting around the outside here, coming up to turn 4 at China Beach, but we'll see what he can do. Who knows how game he's going to be under brakes. But a little bit later, Fahim's up to the task, though, and there's no way he's getting that job done as he leaves himself open for Ben Snell to have a look as well.
Tell you what, it's actually plenty here. A lot of guys having a look cautiously as it were, forcing Ben Snell to run too wide for most of the track. I was watching the race preceding this, and he was doing a fantastic job of that throughout. Now, I think it might have been with James Mead, if I'm not mistaken, and they did end up coming unstuck. But James Mead, we saw him a couple of races last season. He even came and said hello in the booth one night. He's really quick, trying to get back into some more skippy action. He's making a good fist of it tonight with the hard-charging Ben Snell representing Team Milo stuck in behind him in P4. The battle is on up in front. Ian Bevan out to a 0.8 of a second lead over Fahim Antonides, who's up 2 positions now. And Ian running a fantastic race here, almost having the magic 1 second break. He's actually up to 0.9 of a second now. I don't know if Fame's short of a run, but Ian really putting on the show here tonight and looking forward to and looking to roll back the clock, as it were. I know Ian's been away for quite some time from Skippy Racing, but getting back into it and into it with a vengeance as they go 3 wide behind him. Oh, Mike, who's that car for? Michael Fiedler up the inside of Snell. Snell comes back at him underneath. Oh, and there's been contact. Fiedler firing off into the infield. We might just go grab a quick look at that in replay, see what we can make of it here. We hop on board into there. Fiedler going really deep under brakes, forcing Snell wide, and as they go round round that turn 2 there, they come back out looking to track out, and there was just, you know what, it might have been Grebstad into the rear of Fiedler there. Maybe just didn't lift enough or didn't compensate for the slower speed, and looks to maybe like he's turned him, Tim.
Nah, I think what happened is Michael got up the inside of Ben Snell and caught his right rear and probably caused a bit of damage. And I think Ben pretty upset about it. I'm going to say probably looks like he retaliated a little bit. And I mean, that was my take on it. Hawkon got around the outside, though, of turn 2 without damage. He looks to have escaped pretty well trouble-free, which is fortunate because you never want to get into someone and destroy someone else's race. But not good for Ben, not good for Michael. Hawkon fortunate to escape without issue. And here we are, lap 4, sorry.
Yeah, going across the line at lap 4 now. Your race leader, Ian Bevan, followed closely behind with Fame. Sorry, Hawkon, if I misspoke, mate. I'd had a bad angle on it. But either way, the guys are settling back now. And Ian Bevan and Fahim Antonides rated 1 and 2 in this, really looking to get away. They've almost cracked James Mead for draft. Fahim showing his class and getting right on the tail back now of Ian Bevan, who thought he might have been away. I bet he's cursing. But still managing to hang on well. And look, I imagine he'll be enjoying the battle when it comes. And maybe for the race's sake, it might be a three-way battle as we see James Mead get on the back there. But then this second pack led by Samuel Collins, who's he got up the inside there? Brett McBurney. Oh, and there's contact. They've gone again. Brett McBurney this time. Oh, he's all over the place. He's all in the track in the midst of this hard charging pack. Let's have another look at this in replay as they come down the end of this back straight into turn 4. Driver's right. We see the 10 car, Samuel Collins, come across the tight line there of the 8 car in Brett McBurney, who then comes across and makes contact with the 11 in George Matsushinsky. And then poor old, it's the 3 car there of Oscar Chinchilla-Maza. He had nowhere to go. In fact, I was just about to say that was a really big pack and they all had nowhere to go there as the Brett McBurney was left stricken across the track. Quite a big incident and really shaking this field up, Tim.
Yeah, it has, and I think unfortunate for Brett. Obviously, he was slow coming out of 4 into 5, but I don't think he saw the car on the inside, and that was that. He closed the door and there was someone there, and unfortunately took out a couple of the Venom boys and perhaps might have got caught up with a little bit of Milo in there too. So unfortunate, but it's a racing incident at the end of the day. It's just disappointing it took a couple of people out as well. But up front, Ian Bevan in charge, in command, and he's looking pretty good. And Fahim, I think he's going to be pretty content just to sit behind Ian. As Ian protects the line, I don't think it's necessary. No, maybe Ian's keen to sit in second. He lets Fahim go drive around the outside. Not sure what that's about. I don't know why you wouldn't want to lead here. It's just, there's safety in it. Why wouldn't you want to leave? But oh well, it is what it is. Fahim Antonitis, P1, Ian Bevan, P2, and James Mead, P3.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, while these guys are hot at it in the early stage of this race, we're going to duck across and check out some of the second split action, crossing live now to the Golden Stig, our part-time commentator, who is racing in, I think, the second split tonight, and he's got his hands full now in P3, sitting in behind Mick Gray, who's a Monday Night Lights legend. He won the first ever MNL race, relegated to the second split tonight, but he looks like he's battling with Jos Haarsma. Apologies, Jos, for the win there. The Stig putting on a great display. Great to see Jason Willman there sitting in P5, who again is another MNL stalwart, with Simon Chambers, Jason Browers, also MNL regulars, having a good run as well. But great to see those guys out on track having a good run, and hopefully we'll hear more about that after the race. But as we return back now to the top split action, we've got we still have Fahim Antonitis out in front with Ian Bevan and James Mead now locked in a battle for P's 1, 2, and 3 respectively as they try to make a great fist of this round 4 Monday Night Lights clash.
Yeah, they do, and mate, I'm just caught up. I'm so excited for Tim Weimer in third in the second split. Obviously, won last week, and he was pumped. He was on the biggest high ever. Hopefully, he can reproduce that. But P3 and a little bit of a gap to P2 and P1. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully, we can cross back later if time permits. But yeah, Fahim's out in front, looking pretty comfortable, just doing his thing, cutting nice laps. A 1:35.7, probably the fastest of the race last time round. And Ian Bevan, nice and close in tow. And James Mead looking pretty comfortable too, but a big gap back to those guys. And the 3 cars following Håkon, George and Samuel, more or less all with a bit of damage. So there's very little hope of those guys putting in good, clean, hard laps, fast laps, and bridging the gap to the guys in front.
Yeah, they're fighting their own battle at this stage, having been through the trials and tribulations of that big pack and the incidents that happen in and around them. But they're looking to have their own battle there, perhaps really trying to make the most of what could have been there. Certainly plenty of points still on offer, all of them looking to gain iRating and good championship points for the official and Monday Night Lights seasons, and having a good battle. Now behind them we've got... Oh, hang on. Where are we going here? I've lost my shots there. Russell Clark sitting on the front of the next pack there with... who's that in tow? Simon Dopp and John Scholz, the 2 Team Venom guys, looking, all 3 of them, a little worse for wear after the early stages of this race. and tucked in behind them Sean Carron, who we did see take the grid as Russell runs wide there out of the keyhole there at turn 2 down this long straight, and that'll compromise him as they come in here and potentially... No, going around the outside there, we've got John Scholtz looking to make a move, but Russell defending that line tightly through as they head through China Beach now on lap 7, having a good battle amongst themselves, which is good to see, even if they're not up the front. Speaking of up the front, we've got James Mead, Ian Bevan, and Fahim Antonides. Ian Bevan now dropping 1.4 seconds off these front two. Not sure what happened there to Ian, but he won't be happy with that, and he'll be doing whatever he can to get back on, I would think, Tim.
Yeah, interestingly, I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened, but I don't know how it happened. And Fahim let Ian through on the entry to 4. Gave him all the room in the world, and I don't know whether Ian had a bit of a brain fart or maybe there's some brake fade in that skip bar, but he drove straight off the track and barely pulled it up for turn 5. So he's unfortunately had a shocking lap as a 1:37.7 against the guys in front. Really, he cost himself the better part of 2 seconds. So Ian Bevan, at this stage, he's out of it.
Yeah, he is. I jumped back to see if I could find his incident, but does not look as though we're going to find it here. We've caught it a bit earlier, so we might just leave that there and jump back up to live pictures, folks. With Ian Bevan now 1.5 seconds behind. He's dropped nearly a tenth and a half while we were trying to find that replay, and looks like Fahim's going to tow James Mead away, and then those two are going to battle it out as we on the about the halfway point of this race, folks. 7.5 down, 7.5 to go, and these guys up front really looking to run away with it as we jump back and see Håkon Grebstad again on the front of this scrap with George Matsushinsky and Samuel Collins there looking to make a good battle of it for P's 4 to 6 respectively. Plenty of pack action on, if you know where to look in this race still, even though it's all been a bit dispersed, Tim.
Yeah, there is. And little groups around the place, but no real activity at this point in the race. Obviously, kind of in the middle of nowhere as we're halfway through or thereabouts. And if you put a move on now and really risk everything, you're not going to... someone else is going to have a chance at throwing it back up the inside or gaining that position back. So a real bit of a lull in activity, like real activity where people are, you know, making good passes and those sort of things. But I'm sure up front, James is just biding his time, looking for the right time to make the move. And of course, I think the right place to make the move is on the entry to turn 4. And whether you go around the outside or whether Fahim leaves a bit of room and he goes up the inside, what's going to happen here is that those two guys will be able to go side through that complex that is from turn 5 through to 9 and 10, and they'll sort themselves out through Thunder Valley as the car with that little bit better drive, which is typically the one on the inside, because it's a tough little turn 9 is very, very difficult, and certainly one where only one car can go through. So I'm sure in the next handful of laps, as we see these guys try and work out exactly what they're going to do, that there'll be a bit more door-to-door activity.
Yeah, you're right there. I think the two key passing opportunities are going to be through turn 2 at the keyhole, one of the threshold braking areas, and then as they head down the back straight following it into turn 4, as you say, on the approach to China Beach. Two very key points on the track, one before the longest straight and one at the end of it, where you can really make or break your passing opportunities. But of course, you've got to be in the hunt to do it. And of course, James Mead, for him, having some connection problems once again this week. James Mead is now closed back up to just the 3/10 behind. He dropped out to just over half a second, but managing to hang on here more than anything. It'll be interesting to see if he can actually make it work, because we know what sort of pace Fahim's got, and as we look back from him now, you can see what 4/10 at the moment looks like as they cross the line at the end of lap 10, going on to lap 11 now through this sweeping left-hander turn 1 on the run up to the keyhole at turn 2, which is a passing opportunity if you're close enough. But Fahim's so good through that, he pulled out actually a tenth through that corner, which James caught back up in draft. But if all he's doing is catching up in draft, Tim, doesn't really leave him much hope of getting by.
Yeah, look, it's still early days as James runs really wide out of turn 2. Surprising to see him do that. Picks up an off-track for good measure, but yeah, look, I'm keen to know when he thinks is the right time to make the move, because in my experience here at Mid-Ohio, it's great going side by side with someone, but it is difficult to get the move done. And if you're I think it'd be silly of James to leave it to the last lap, and I think his opportunity to defend is greater than his opportunity to pass. So I think the sooner he makes that move and stamps a bit of authority on the race, the better. But you're right, it's difficult for him to, with Fahim getting such good drive out of corners, difficult for James to really get nice and close and get a good drive out of a corner and make a move on Fahim.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ian Bevan, after showing the early running now, 2 seconds behind, and I bet there's a bit of steam coming out those ears, fogging up the driver's visor now as we see him in P3, a full 2 seconds behind. Real shame for him, as he was really putting on a good show at the start, and that one error is enough in this calibre of field to cost you any chance of running with the front runners. And as we see those guys go ahead now, Håkon Grebstad now still on front of this 3-car pack for 4, 5 and 6, with George Matsushinsky and Samuel Collins tucking behind as they go through that driftly turn 1 there on the run up to the keyhole once again at turn 2. Again, Håkon really setting the pace there. Neither of the guys behind him really looking to have the run to get by him, or at least perhaps they're waiting in the wings, as it were. Håkon taking the nice wide angle there. I thought he might take a late apex through the keyhole there, out onto the back straight, but that's really left him potentially vulnerable. No, looks like Matsushinsky behind him is just pulling up. Is he going to have a look? Yes, he is. What's going to happen here as they head down towards turn 4 now? Pokes the nose up, forces Håkon offline, but Håkon now got the inside running into 5 as they circuit China Beach once again and tucks back in the line. Just showing the nose there, perhaps trying to put Håkon off his game, but Håkon, with the wealth of experience that he has in these cars, he's no mug in these, and he's held him off once again, Tim.
Yeah, he did. I think he had larger gonads under brakes into turn 4, and he was more than comfortable jumping on the anchors nice and late. George, I'm sure he was conscious of not going too late and understeering into the side of Håkon. You can't just make a car disappear. So good driving by those guys, and pleased to see that bit of activity out there again, of course. But yeah, Håkon, you're right. He's plenty of experience in the Skippy, and I'd say it's one of his. He races a lot of different cars, but I'd say the Skip's one of his favourites, and he's certainly a regular to the series and Skip Barber, racing in general. So he is leading that group, doing comfortable lap times in the low 136 range, which is good pace, but about 3 or 4 tenths off the leading group. At this stage, he'll pretty comfortable lapping in the 135.8 region. So good job by him, and I think he's got no hope of catching the boys in front, but hopefully can hang on to P4 in this second pack.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Samuel Collins looking to get a bit racy there with George Matsushinsky. Samuel feeling perhaps that he's got the pace to take it to Håkon there. Had a look up, but George closed the door pretty quickly that time, as now Håkon forcing George to go around the outside. This time Håkon taking the defensive line through turn 4 now. This does, of course, set up George for the inside through turn 5, and looks like he might get it done. Can they go side by side now down the hill into the S's? Håkon, they're trading apexes here, inside, outside, as they then head down into Thunder Valley. Now Håkon with the inside running. As you say, there's only room really for one car here. Can they get it done? Side by side they go. Yes, they can. We thought there was only one line through there. Side by side for most of this lap, with Samuel Collins just tucked in behind Håkon now. He's not willing to give it up. He's forced around the outside now, coming through into the final corner now through the carousel, turn 12. Holds on. Well, what a battle that was. The guys putting on a fantastic display of driving there, going side by side for the better part of that lap. As again, they're going to do it once again through turn 1 now. George Matsushinsky and Håkon Grebstad putting on a great show. And perhaps the best seat in the house is Samuel Collins as we hop on board with Samuel now. Oh, we might want to go to the other side. Tell you what, mate, there's some racing going on out there, Tim.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm really pleased that I talked it up. I mean, the battle you can have from 4 through to, what did I say, turn 9 or 10, and those guys carried it more. It wasn't settled by turn 12. That's when Håkon eventually got the lead, and George said, well, enough's enough. Like, this is crazy. We're just slowing each other up, as he comes under pressure now from Sam Collins. See what Sam can do under brakes. He's going to be pretty committed if he wants to get the job done. George is going to be equal to the task, and he is very late on the brakes. Those two side by side. Will we see it again though? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 corners side by side. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Sam's going to get the drive, but George is up to the task, runs nice and wide, gets great drive out of turn 5. And those two side by side as we go through the S's, 7, 8, and 9. I was going to say, I think Samuel's got it done. He has. George, it'd be a risky move to stick it up the inside. His nose is there, though. Sam doesn't close the door. Looks like he's just got better drive out of there as we go through 10 at Thunder Valley into 11, and Sam's got the job done. A terrific effort and really close racing. That's what Skippy's is all about.
Sure is. I tell you what, this is one of the unique parts of this track is not only the elevation changes, but you've got a series of corners there, left, right, left, right, left, right, where one guy's got the advantage on the inside and the other bloke's got it the next corner. And what it leads to is this side-by-side racing, which is, what, as you say, what Skippies are all about. What it does mean, though, is Hawkon's now at a 1.1 second lead and potentially looking to run away with it. Speaking of leads, we've got Ian Bevan now. He's sitting nearly 3.5 seconds behind our leaders in Fahim and James Mead. James now just the 3/10 tucked in behind Fahim Antonides with 1.5 laps to go. Just quickly, or just quietly, I should say, James now 2/10 forced to the outside. Can we see how these front runners do it now? Fahim taking quite a narrow line there, leaving plenty of room between himself and James. James coming underneath, or attempting to, no, tucking in behind. Great drive there through Fahim, showing that around the outside there of turn 4, you can get the better drive, and really defended that position very well as they head down now through the S's, heading up towards the rise into Thunder Valley now for the penultimate time. And James Mead really has he. Oh, Antoinette is running wide and almost running out of internet there as he disappeared momentarily. We'll focus on this battle in towards the end of the race, folks. And James Mead tucked right in behind Fahim. Let's see what they can do with this final lap, Tim.
Yeah, I'm excited to find out. James, as I said earlier, he's got to get better drive out of those corners to really get next to Fahim. If you can't pull up next to him, forget it. You're not going to get the job done. You cannot break from half a car length behind and make the position. You're just not going to have the position in the corner. It's impossible. So for him, he knows what he has to do. James, likewise, he knows he's got to get a great run out of turn 2, out of the keyhole as the run up to 3 into 4 is just, it's key to getting the job done here.
Sure is. We're right on board with James Mead now as he runs up this back straight for the final time. He's close enough. He's within 3/10 now. He's closest to just the 1.5. Fahim will, of course, force him to go. Oh, he's lifted.
He's blown the engine.
He's blown the engine.
It's all up. This is an Okayama. What's going on?
Oh, look at that. The smoke pouring out the back of the 7 car. Looking to hang on now with just probably the 2 cylinders remaining. He still has reasonable drive, but Ian Bevan now closing in. He is 3.2 seconds behind. Can he catch the stricken James Mead? Fahim Antonides now going through the S's, looking to run away with it now. James Mead struggling to get home. I was on board with him. I didn't hear it go. It was only a partial blow. Ian Bevan now driving past the stricken James Mead, who is all that lead going into dust as Ian Bevan picking up a lucky result there for all his hard work. And as we watch Fahim Antonides now crossing the line to take yet another Monday Night Lights win and no doubt take the championship lead as well. Ian Bevan crossing the line in second. James Mead, look at that, leaving the smoke trailing behind him in P3. Håkon Grebstad, P4. Samuel Collins, George Matsushinsky. Looks like Samuel's got it done. Well, I'll tell you what, I was expecting it to go a bit more of a bang when it went, Tim, but quite exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, it's rare for the Skippy to not blow up in sensational fashion, but fortunate for James, and I'm sure Ian enjoyed the face full of smoke as he could sniff P2 from 3 or 4 seconds away, and he was fortunate. Like it probably brought him down to, I'm going to say 60% power, but that was enough for Ian to capitalise, and he took P2 by 2 seconds. But of course, they had a big gap over Håkon, probably 10-12 seconds at the start of the lap, and lucky for James, 3rd step on the podium. As disappointing as that'll be after getting pole with that fantastic lap in quali, He'd be pretty happy with third at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, Ian, I think he ended up in P2, yeah? James,
He
I beg
did.
your pardon. Yeah, so you're right,
James, yeah,
yeah.
P3.
Yeah, as we're just watching Brett McBurney cross the line, I think is our final finisher tonight. Seeing as we're all one and done, why don't we check out our results for round 4 here at Mid Ohio for Monday Night Lights season 14? Fahim Antonides once again making a successful trip down under to take out. I can't remember. Must be his 4th or 5th race since rejoining us here. Fantastic drive from Fahim, almost never in doubt after qualifying pretty low down the order for his standards. P2 tonight, Ian Bevan, luckless and lucky at the same time. Finished where he started in P2 and brought it home ahead of a stricken James Mead, blowing half his engine by the looks of it in P3. P4, Håkon Grebstad, who after the pack got really shuffled by those early race incidents, managed to get a small breakaway to secure P4 and a great hatful of points for his Monday Night Lights tilt. Samuel Collins with a hard-fought battle with George Matsushinsky for P5 and 6 respectively put on quite a show, those three united. Russell Clark for Team Milo in P7 tonight. Not a bad result for Russell. Up 5 positions, I'm sure he'll be pleased with that if nothing else. John Scholtz for Team Venom. He's finished in P8. P9 goes to Sean Carron, who looks like he had internet troubles to start with, but did manage to join us and get up 5 spots for some MNL points to help his tilt this season as well. Oscar Chinchilla Maza becoming an MNL regular from Iberia in P10. Simon Dopp for Team Venom Racing Australia. He has finished in P11. P12 went to Michael Fiedler after that early race incident, down a few spots. And from what I've seen of Michael, he's got more pace than that, and hopefully we'll see him back again soon. P13, Brett McBurney, who, of course, was in the thick of that massive accident that happened through turn 5 on the pointy end of China Beach. That unfortunate racing incident that it was. Ben Snell similarly caught up in incidents, and he was our only retirement tonight, all the way down in P14. From the top to the tail, last week Ben Snell winning his first MNL race, and tonight finishing at the tail end of the field. Disappointing for Ben, but certainly, hopefully, he'll be back bigger and better next week, Tim.
Yeah, it is disappointing for him, and yeah, it's unfortunate to get caught up. And I guess the challenging thing with racing in a primarily Aussie split is that the international drivers, or depends where the race is hosted from, or it could be the Aussie drivers, but there's often a bit of net code. And I'm curious to know. I don't think Ben will join us in the green room this afternoon or this evening, but I'm curious to know his take on exactly what happened. And similarly, I'd like to hear from Michael too. But I think those guys would both be pretty disappointed with what occurred. Perhaps neither wanting to take blame, and might even go as far as to say it was a racing incident. But disappointing for Ben ultimately, having won last week and not really been able to put it together tonight.
Yeah, that's right, mate. I don't know. I didn't sort of, the angle that I had of it wasn't such that I could see exactly what went on. I'll probably go and have a look at the footage later and see what I made of it. But might have a chat to the boy himself later on and see what his take on it was. But as for now, we've got a couple of guys in the green room. We'll bring them up in finishing order. We're starting with Mr. Bevan, Ian Bevan. Welcome to the Top Split broadcast booth, mate. The highs and lows of it, mate. Quite an exciting finish too. How was the racing out there for you?
I'm not even sure where to start. I mean, it was good. It was good. I mean, just an incredibly frustrating race for me, in that I got out to I decided to attack early. I actually got out to over a 1 second lead, and then made several mistakes on the next lap, which just let Fahim catch me. And it's like, really, was that necessary? Anyway.
Yeah, mate, it looked like
Yeah.
we saw it when he's had the 1 second gap. I thought, well, there's a challenge laid down, and then Fahim caught up, and then it looked like at one point you guys were obviously racing smart and letting each other through gracefully, trying to get away from the hard charging pack, and then it all came unstuck, mate.
Well, we had a communication breakdown, I think. I let him through. He didn't let me back through, and that just is what it is. But there's no one else to blame apart from myself for just screwing up my braking and getting onto the grass. I mean, it's just pretty rookie mistake at this level. And I did it again sort of a little bit later on in the race, but I was pushing so very hard trying to keep up. I mean, I had no draft, but I wasn't falling back.
Yeah, mate. And then at the end, of course, there was a bit of excitement. I'm sure you could smell P2 as it came back at you in the closing stages, mate. And I don't know how much racing you've done here this week, but have you seen many blown engines?
Yeah, no, I definitely have. And this is a track where it's very easy to do. It's kind of like Okayama in that we we run high revs in first and second and third, and that just overheats the engine. And some of the races I did yesterday, you can see people pulling out and trying to get some cool air and early shifting. But I don't know how many laps that James had done, or how many races he'd done. He maybe wasn't aware just how bad it can be. And if he doesn't have a sensor in his car, because there's nothing you can see on the dashboard, if he hasn't got a bit of software warning him, then it would have come at a bit hell of a surprise.
Yeah, it looked like it. I was surprised, and a couple of the guys watching at home suggested they hadn't seen an engine half blow before because James was able to limp home on the basis of that lead that he and Fahim had built up to finish in P3. So interesting times with the Skippy engines here. But listen, congratulations on the return tilt this season and the good result here tonight. And hopefully we can see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to you guys for doing the broadcast as always. And P2, I shouldn't really complain, but I'm a little bit frustrated. It should have been better. The racing should have been a little bit better for me instead of a time trial, but still an improvement on previous weeks. At least my internet survived this week and I didn't get disconnected in the middle of P2. So, that's a plus, and I'll be back next week for Monza.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. We look forward to seeing you then.
All right, thanks, guys. Good night.
There you go. That was Mr. Bevan, and pretty much kind of what we made of it seemed to be what happened to him.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that he, it's unfortunate that he put his foot in it when Fahim let him back by, and he said it was a misunderstanding. But at the end of the day, I'm just not sure why he, I said it in the stream. I just don't know why he gave up that position. P1's where you want to be. You want to be leading and in control, and as we spoke about with James trying to get past Fahim, you really need a good bit of drive out of the corners, and rarely can you make it, too wide through 4, 5, 6, and wherever you end up. But yeah, I think a lot of the blame's got to fall on Ian tonight, unfortunately, and that the decision to let Fahim by was not a great one in the scheme of things.
Ultimately, it cost him, and he sounds like he's kicking himself more than anything, which he's pretty hard on himself. But it's a great result in the second strongest field of the week, so it's good result on his tilt to become back more one of a regular Skippy driver again. But I'll just bring up Mr. Fahim Antonides, who once again joined us for an incredible race here tonight, mate. Looks like you had your work cut out for you, and then all of a sudden it all came to you in the last little bit.
Yeah, hi Alex. Hi Tim. Yeah, obviously I didn't do very well at qualifying, hence my fourth spot. But I managed to surprisingly quickly get back to the front, and I don't know why that was. I don't know why these guys. I think they give me far too much respect. Really, they should fight a little bit harder. But anyway, I got up front behind Ian, and then I just said to him, "Let's be smart about this, Ian." Meaning let's try and pull away from the guys behind us. And on lap 5, down the straight, he let me through. I took the lead. Lap 6, I was ready to let him do the same, but I thought that he was too far behind. Again, on lap 7, he seemed to be a little bit too far back to do that, because I thought if I slow down to let him through now, James would be on top of us. So I thought hopefully he'll get a better exit on the next lap, but again, he didn't get as good an exit off the second corner, I guess, to get a jump on me on the straight, and that resulted in him, I think, getting a little bit frustrated and sliding off the track. And at that point, I thought, oh God, I hope I haven't been the cause of this. And going back, looking at the replays, I can see on lap 5 that when I was drafting him to take the lead, I was already pulling out of his draft halfway down the straight. And I wanted to go and visit the following 2 laps when it was his turn to pull out the draft, to make sure that it wasn't me because I think he felt that I wasn't, returning the favor, and I thought it wasn't a purposeful thing. I wasn't not returning the favor because I had the lead now, but I just didn't feel that he was close enough. And then when I looked at it, it seemed to me that by the time he was ready to pull out the draft, we were already getting into the braking zone. So I think I might have been right in not slowing down and waiting for him to get a better position to pull past. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and I'm very glad that in the end he managed to salvage something of it. But it wasn't intentional not to let him through.
No, that's right. Look, it was an interesting dice then, as we saw James Mead really looked to put all sorts of pressure over you towards the closing stages of the race when he could, and then only to find his engine blow. But unfortunate for him, mate. But again, another successful trip for you down to the ANZ Soft race this week. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Just shout out to you guys really, and my teammates. I don't know where Enzo's gone. He's kind of disappeared. I did say last week that we've set a search party out to find him. If you're listening, Enzo, come back home. All is forgiven. But other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for him. Yeah, we miss Enzo too. Love a good Enzo bit of action on the track, but certainly for him representing Team Ivano, excellent fashion as always. So thanks for him, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Likewise, take care.
There you go, Mr. Gorkrotcher, Mr. Antonides once again putting on a great show for us tonight.
Yeah, as always, and just on Enzo, the thing that disappoints me the most is going to bed on time. I know when Enzo's here, I'll get paid overtime, and I really appreciate that, Alex. But I don't get it, and it's the Australia penalty rates. What is it? Double time and a half when you work after 9:30 p.m. Anyway, I don't get that when Enzo's not here. So come back, Enzo. We miss you. And in all seriousness, he brings great racing to the top split, and doesn't matter who he's up against. It's always hard. It's always fast, and occasionally a bit of door banging, but it's always exciting, and that's what we're looking for, So, but of course tonight for him, he controlled the race and a good job as always.
Yeah, absolutely it was. But next on our interview list is Mr. Grebstad. Håkon, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth, mate. A solid P4 tonight with some sensational door-to-door driving with George Matsushinsky in the middle stages of the race. How was it out on track for you?
How good was that battle, eh? That was good.
Yeah, fortunately we caught that 3/4 of a lap that you guys spent side by side through the back section there in the S's, and it was a fantastic racing. I could just picture you with a grin ear to ear, particularly when you came out on top.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah,
it was a good race overall. A bit unfortunate incident with Ben and Michael, which kind of dropped the leaders. But yeah, really good battle, fourth. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, mate, I'll have to go back and review the footage. I miscalled you. I thought you might have got in the back of Michael there, but Tim corrected me and said it was the two in front that got in contact, mate. So my apologies for that. But yeah, look, it was certainly like action packed, and as you say, it was a big pack there that formed once the leaders got away. But and then it sort of broke off into little ones that really brought us some fantastic action that you saw tonight. So congratulations once again on P4, mate. I think with Fahim's result, he might have a show at jumping you on the ladder, but I guess time will tell. Time will tell. I haven't done the results, so I'll have to have a look, mate. So thanks once again, and congratulations on the great result.
Thanks, mate.
There you go, Tim. Another great result for the Norwegian visiting us here on a Monday night, and I'll tell you what, that as you said during the call, mate, that side by side action in the midfield there was really what Skip Barber's all about.
Yeah, it is, and nice to see those guys showing themselves, showing each other, the respect that that you deserve to give to your fellow racers, and when you can go side by side for what was it, 6, 7 corners, that's fantastic, and that is what it's all about. So well done to those guys, and I'm sure it made some great viewing for those on Twitch, and for those who'll watch the replay on YouTube a bit later on, fantastic stuff, and well done to those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's get Mr. Snell up here and find out what actually went on. Ben Snell, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth. Now, we've had much conjecture as to what may or may not have gone on in that incident in turn 2 at the keyhole there early on between yourself and Michael Fiedler, mate. What did it look like from your cockpit?
Good evening, guys. I basically wanted to jump in to apologise for any part I had to do in that because it was very messy. But basically, I turned into turn 2 on my normal line, and all of a sudden I had a skippy in my side pod. So I opened up the steering, let him through, went for the undercut, and just got on the throttle. And apparently there wasn't enough room for both of us on the outside there.
Yeah, it's a shame, mate. I miscalled it at the time. I thought Hawken got into the rear of Michael, but it sounds like, well, the way I saw it certainly mirrors what you said there on the entry, that Michael Fiedler really sent it up the inside of turn 2, and I thought actually he did really well to, as you say, open up and let him through there, because if you hadn't, the incident would have been guaranteed for sure. But then that's just an unfortunate racing one in the end there. I'll be interested to go back and look at the replay shortly when we go off air, but full marks here for coming up and clearing the air there, mate, and hopefully we'll be back to the more like the winner's circle from last week when you take the track next week, mate.
Oh, it's one end or the other, isn't it? Also, I'd like to apologise to Bernie because he pulled out of the draft to someone as I was struggling along the side of the track and completely cleaned both of us up. So sorry about that as well. There's someone else to go and watch.
Oh dear, there you go, Ben. If it's what is it, diamonds or rocks or diamonds for you, mate? So
rain of applause or something along
that. There'd be a cliche in there somewhere. But thanks again for joining us here tonight, mate, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Well, there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth, Tim. It's an unfortunate thing that robbed both Ben and us of the race to come, but hopefully bigger and better things for him next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And often it's a tough pill to swallow is when you put your foot in it, and stepping up and saying stuffed up is not easy. So good on Ben, and look forward to having him back in the top split next week, of course. And I think the trouble for him tonight really started when he qualified in P6. That's not a great place to start. There's a bit more action there, and you often find yourself separated from the leaders early in the piece as you try and battle to gain positions. So a bit of that as those three kind of went 3 wide into turn 2, and it's got danger written all over it. So disappointing for that lot, but they'll be back, and hopefully a good showing next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, our final person from tonight was the Golden Stig himself, Mr. Tim Awema, who we crossed to briefly early on in the race when he was sitting in the third spot on the podium early on. Mr. Awema, how did you finish up your race and I think what was the second split?
Yes, thanks, boys. Tonight was a great race, and finished third. So started third, finished third. Just didn't have the pace tonight for Mick Gray and Jos Hasma. They were just too fast in first and second, and were just drafting off each other. So I was stuck in the wilderness, but I'll take the third position.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. It was an eventful race or a lonely one from the Stig's cockpit?
It was very lonely. It was about a 3-second gap that it got out to behind me. So I was sitting in the middle in no man's land, and all I was doing is just concentrating on each lap just to finish a lap. So really happy with tonight's racing, and it's good to get a third, and had 3 good races tonight. So really happy with it.
Yeah, excellent result, mate. And continuing on from last week where you had the victory, and I can tell you from personal experience, mate, with those sorts of results, you'll be right in amongst the MNL standings, provided we don't pinch you up here for a commentary stint every now and then, mate. So congratulations on the run, and between the three of us, I'm sure we'll have next week covered in some way or fashion. But you'll either be up here or out on track again, mate. So enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks very much. I don't mind coming back up into the commentary box. A good race to have every now and then is I like getting out there, but I also like the commentary booth.
Perfect. All right, mate. Well, thanks again and congrats on the result. And we'll see you in one shape or other next week.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Just showing that commentators can get it done, mate, in the booth and on the track. And another great result for the Golden Stig.
Yeah, he'd be pretty chuffed. And just next time he's up in the booth, mate, I wouldn't mind having a chat to him, a few questions I need to ask. And Tim's been driving well and great to see. He's enjoying his racing, and that's what we do it for. So good on him. But I think it's Monza next week. Is that correct?
Yeah, Monza all over. Should be an interesting fight. I tell you what, throughout the week into that first chicane, there'll be. I reckon that'll be the talk of the town next week. It's a lovely track as long as you can survive turn one, lap one.
Yeah, I'm sure the chicanes make it interesting. So I haven't got it personally, haven't driven there, but yeah, I've seen plenty of racing there, so I'm sure it'll be interesting. But I think next week I'd be happy to commentate again if it means that Tim can host his Twitch channel and provide us. Well, it'd be great to see him in the top split, but if he got a good result in the second split, I think he'd be pretty happy again. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, that just about brings us to the end of tonight's coverage. Fantastic race it was with Fahim Antonides, Ian Bevan and James Mead putting on a great show once again to take out the podium positions. We'll be back here again next week at the newly daylight savings-ified time of 9:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, GMT plus 10. For the best night of Skippy racing you'll see each and every week. And I've been your host, Alex McKellen. On behalf of Tim Gorkrocher, I wish you good night. And until next time, I will say ciao for now.